Last week in Baltimore, Carol Giannotti couldn't bear to watch as Anne-Marie Dugan stepped up in the 10th frame of the championship match with a chance to win the title. But when 2 pins remained, well, the reaction was evident. This week, Carol Giannotti's in the top spot, hoping to win her 2nd LPBT title in a row. ESPN and the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour are proud to present the $50,000 South Bend Open. But Carol Giannotti is not to repeat as champion and might be at the hands of Sandra Jo Shirey, the last woman to win this event 2 years in a row. The beautiful St. Joe's River in the northern half of the state of Indiana is home to some great scenery and some great recreation. South Bend, Indiana is also the home for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And this week, Chippewa Ball hosts the Samstown Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. Hi, everyone. I'm John Neighbor. Welcome to the second to the last stop on the fall swing. Along with me, Leila Wagner. And a great show in store today. Carol Giannotti, who was victorious at the event last week on the tour, is in the top spot tonight.
Well, tonight, Carol Giannotti has a chance to do something she did in the fall of 1992, and that is to win back-to-back titles. And she can do it again this week if she stays calm. Last week, a couple shots got away from her. She said, I was just very nervous, and I ran to the line. My timing was off. But this week, if I can stay calm, I can win tonight.
The number 2 position is Tish Johnson, who's currently number 3 on the season's point list, but she's not yet had success in the championship match this year.
No, she hasn't. It's been 2 years since Tish Johnson has won a title, and it's been a frustrating year for her. She's been bowling well, but she has not received the rewards. 2 weeks ago in Delaware, she bowled excellent through a game that hit the pocket every time, but did not carry. She hopes to redeem herself and get to the championship match tonight and win this title.
One of the more popular names here in the city of South Bend is somewhat of a local favorite, Sandra Jo Shirey.
Well, Sandra Jo has had a lot of success here in South Bend. In 1989, she won this event as an amateur. She came back in 1990, won it again. She's bowled very well here with family and friends have been here to support her. And she says, you know, I just bowl well here because of the family support.
They just drive across the state line from Michigan to see her bowl. In the number 4 spot, Carolyn Doran, having a great season this year.
Well, Carolyn Doran's having just a phenomenal year. It's only her 5th year on tour, but she's put it all together this year. She won her first title. She says, I'm setting new goals for myself. Maybe next year I can make it to the All-American team, maybe even Bowler of the Year someday. This lady works very hard at her game. She practices roughly 125 games a week when she's not on tour.
Interestingly enough, one of the great human interest stories today is that of Lori Ucho. She starts off in the number 5 position. She's the oldest of our 5 bowlers this evening, but this is her first year on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour.
Well, it goes to show you, John, you're never too old to go after your dream, and this is Lori Ucho's dream, is to be out here on tour. This is her 8th event. She has cashed or made the finals in 4 of them. This week, her goal was to at least just get to the top 10. She did better than that. Last night, she averaged roughly 258. She moved from 14th to 5th.
For her to climb beyond that 5th place position, she'll have to defeat Carolyn Doran in our first match. So the first match is ready to get underway. Lori Ucho on your left, Carolyn Doran on the right. Starting off.
I'm not quite sure who's going to start the match, John. Lori Ucho's still practicing. Carolyn Doran is talking it over with our tournament director, Rick Hudson. It'll be Carolyn Doran's choice whether she is going to start the match or she wants Lori Ucho to finish the match, putting the pressure on Lori in the end. You can see Carolyn's trying to figure out, okay, if she starts, I finish. No, let me see. If I finish, she starts. And, you know, it's kind of confusing when you're sitting there down there. If you always remember, whoever starts first finishes last. And well, that's something that Carolyn had to figure out here. And see, Lori looked over to Rick. Rick said, okay, Lori, you go, because I know what Carolyn's trying to do here. She is the little bit more experienced one. She wants to put any pressure on Lori if she has to strike to win. You can see there she's 5'8" from Portland, Oregon. We talked about her age. Lori Ucho's 42 years old, and this is her first year on tour. She just started, actually, in the last couple of events of the summer tour.
Lori had a long affinity for the sport of bowling, but in connection with her husband, Ted, they decided she should postpone a professional career to seek a degree in accounting. So Lori is now a CPA. Having that behind her, She's ready to tackle the world of athletics, of pro bowling, and now Carolyn Dorn will start us off. Lori Ucho already with the two very high games in early play, a 300 game and a 290 game.
Carolyn Dorn up now. Wants to answer to Lori Ucho's strike, get a strike of her own early in the game.
Ooh.
Six-pin hits the 10, but doesn't quite get it down. Carolyn Dorn has one singles title, but she also has a doubles title with professional bowler Lisa Wagner.
Carolyn, at 30 years of age, hails from Richardson, Texas. They call her Spike. Fiance's in the crowd. Good family support here herself. Sister Kathy is in the crowd.
And in the opening, I talked about how much she works on her game. Carolyn Dorn uses a lot of the approach, takes a 5-step approach, not much of a push away, actually pushes the ball down, low backswing, but she's very low to the line here. Works out a lot in her lower body, so she's been training athletically in the gym, trying to get her lower body strength up there so that she could get more leverage.
And she finds them all in the second frame. Dorn came out blazing the first professional event of the tour, winning the first event in Columbia, Tennessee. Now Lori Ucho qualified with a 223. The points are interesting. She was having one great final block.
That's right. She missed Lisa Wagner's record by just 22 pins.
2 in a row now for Lori.
Lori Ucho has a very simple game as well. Holds the ball low in her stance. In her push away, she's just going to basically push the ball down and above the right knee. She has a medium to high backswing, not much higher than shoulder. Hits the line and pulls the ball through nicely. She, too, has been working out at the gym. She said, my husband and I joined the gym about 2 years ago.
Oh, the messenger just missed leaving his mark on the 10 pin, so she'll only get 9 on that first ball. I love the story of the fact that once she qualified for tonight's telecast, she jumped on the phone, called Portland, Oregon to speak to her husband, told him about it. He had to quickly finish his tasks around the house and jump on a late-night plane, double connection, and get here just in time to see his wife bowl.
Switching balls to shoot the 10, no problem. And you're right, he did want to get here just to see her bowl, and that's very important, especially your first time on television. There's a look at Ted Ucho. It's very important to have that support here because it's very lonely out there, and your first time on TV can be very nerve-wracking. Carolyn Dorn has her fiancé, Del Ballard, here as well this week. Great shot by Carolyn for the double. She bowled super our first event of the fall tour in the U.S. Open. She qualified in the number 4 position. She defeated Tish Johnson 245 to 216, but then she lost to Alita Sill when Alita came out, shot 279, but Carolyn Dorn shot 258. And she really seemed to have a wonderful shot and probably could have made it up the ladder if she could have got by Alita Sill that night.
Alita Sill did go up and win the tournament.
Yes, she did.
Leaving the bucket in the 4th.
It's her 4th television appearance this year, but it's her 6th overall in her career. So you can see what a year it's been for her.
She's benefiting a lot by learning from Del Ballard, having the assistance of her sister Kathy on tour, very aggressively pursuing this as a discipline.
And there's a look at Del right there. He was recently at the World Open in Chicago, came over when he was eliminated from that tournament. She's also been working with Billy Hall out on the men's tour when she has been off the ladies tour.
So Carolyn Dorn gets a spare in the 4th. We'll be back with more of this first match of the championship round finals when our coverage returns to South Bend for the South Bend Open. Stay with us.
You jerk. I never want to see you again. Oh!
Savan, soft 100% cotton pants. They're the only pants made with Process 2000, so they don't wrinkle, which means you'll always come off looking good, no matter what you've done.
You're an American. You've got the right to play bingo, the right to monster truck rallies, and the right to big, juicy burgers. So what happened? Someone slaps a low price on a fried little burger and calls it a deal? That's un-American. You have the right to go to Burger King. The right to get a Whopper, plain broiled, not fried. And the right to get that Whopper any size you want, with fries and a drink. Starting at just $1.99. It's all there in the Constitution. Look it up.
Burger King. Get your burger's worth.
The championship round finals of the South Bend Open are being brought to you by Savan, 100% cotton, no wrinkle clothing. Back now for the first match of the stepladder finals here in South Bend. John Neighbor with Leila Wagner. Laura Ucho now in the fourth frame, working on a spare. 3-pin lead. Leaving the split. 4-6-7.
And the commercial break seemed to have affected Lori a little bit, possibly on ball speed. Also, she hit the dry area a little quick. Players this week and on the telecast, players that like to go very straight through the heads, through the front part of the lanes. You won't see anybody really crossing a lot of boards, really hooking it like the Anne-Marie Dugans, the Leanne Barretts, the Tammy Turners. This week, it was a straighter player's condition. You stay right in this tunnel. Throw it right. It's going to hook a little bit too early for you. Sometimes it would just sail out the window. It was a very wet, dry condition through most of the week.
Since this is Laura Ucho's first time on television, we had the chance to talk with her last night and asked her to articulate a little bit more for our benefit some of the background. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Lori.
I am a mother and a wife, and I have a wonderful husband and a wonderful son and daughter-in-law. I'm a CPA. I've worked in private industry for 8 years, and this has always been a dream of mine, and I put it on hold for 20 years, and happened to have the opportunity to come out for a swing, so I decided to come out.
And the tour was better for her presence this week. Bowled a 290 and a 300, as I said earlier. Got the crowd very much paying attention to what she was doing, and this is not a fluke. She has cashed frequently on the tour this year. I think we'll probably see more of her in the years ahead.
She's gained a lot of experience, too, in the regional program, John. She's won 2 regional titles. She met players like Christy Witcher, who is a very well-known amateur player that hit a few stops, bowls well in the U.S. Open this past year, too. And meanwhile, Carol Doran's going to take a rewrap.
Don't forget the $100,000 Samstown Invitational coming up next week. That's going to be the big one. The Masters, if you will, is the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour travels to Las Vegas. We'll be showing you that next week, 11:30 p.m. Central Time on November 22. Working on a spare, Carolyn Doran now in the 5th frame with an 11-pin lead as a result of the open and spare just shot by Lori.
Gets the 10 out at the last minute. Playing right up around the 6th, 7th board again, straighter down the boards. No sending the ball to the right, pulling it to the left. You can see her ball is going to go right straight down about the 6th board. There you go. Just a little baby swing, maybe 8 to 6, and then back. 3-time collegiate All-American in West Texas State University. She really received a lot of great coaching down there. Prepared her for the tour.
That average on the TV pair, 213.5, is the lowest average on TV pair of all the 5 finalists. It's some from behind, but still leaves the 1-2. Or excuse me, the 4-2.
It is the lowest, John, and one of the reasons yesterday the lanes opened up beautifully for the players. Very high scoring day for the tournament, and all the 4 other players on the telecast hit lanes 63 and 64 yesterday, but Carolyn Doran did not. So I even told her that. I said, you know, that's why you're average. She goes, oh, I just bowled a horrible game in qualifying on this pair.
Well, she gets the spare in the 6th the hard way. Now Lori has to put something together again. She's got an open surrounded by spares in the 4th now, in the 6th working on the spare. You can see her TV average 248 and change. A lot of people set up and took notice to her scores.
Well, one of her high games, her 290 was on lane 63 and 64, so that'll help in a 3-game average. Laura Ucho does a lot of visualization. She says, I learned this from Christy Witcher, and it's something that I try to take time, see myself throwing the shot, draw that imaginary line. Oh, that ball did come up a little high. She almost left the 4-6. 4 fell out at the last minute. The 6th almost did. Now, she is making some slight adjustments. She went high on 64. She went light then on 63. She went high again on 64.
Well, she'll pick up the spare in the 6th. Earlier in the week, she was wearing a lot of blue eyeshadow as part of a superstition for good luck. I don't know if that's working for her right now.
Well, she's trailing by 12, so maybe she needs to add a little bit more, which doesn't have time to do that. I had to laugh. We were talking, and she said, you know, this has been just such a wonderful experience. It'll probably be the talk of our Thanksgiving dinner this year.
Well, good. So when you think about it, the attitude of I'm just grateful to be on the tour. This is something I've dreamt about for a long time. It's worth some sacrifices. Laura Ucho now sits down as Carolyn Doran will be next up when we return. See the woman who leads by 12, and she's working on a spare, Carolyn Doran.
You're always on the go. So get your sports to go on WSC Wireless Sports Channel. Scores and updated information almost as it happens. You're not always where the sports information is, and your teams aren't always what they cover. So when you gotta have sports, get WSC, the Wireless Sports Channel by Motorola. Information and scores from $9.99 a month. Sports where you are, when you gotta have it. WSC. Just get it.
No matter where you park your car, never park it without the Club anti-theft device. The Club, police recommended to keep your car safe from thieves. Available at better stores everywhere.
Carolyn Doran working on a spare, now in the 7th, leads by 12 pins.
And her sister Kathy looking on. Also a sigh of release, said good shot. It's very important to Carolyn to have her sister Kathy here.
Kathy made the show a few weeks back.
See there, she defeated Lori in match play, 289 to 234.
You know, these two lanes, 63 and 64, have not been as generous with the strikes as they were earlier in match play and qualifying. Doesn't appear to be nearly as high-scoring games as these two have grown accustomed to this week in South Bend.
Lanes this week were well 33 feet. A spray gun was used in the front part of the lane. Oh, what a great shot. Just ripped the rack. 5-pin flew into the 7th. I'm going to get a chance to see the pin action. Just look at the 5-pin here. Just it's right in front of the 7. Takes it out with the head of the pin. Strike here will cut Carolyn Doran lead to 12. Performed great under the pressure. She knows she's got to keep something going. Right now, Laura Ucho can shoot a possible 234. I asked her earlier, I said, do you think you can win tonight? She says, you know, if I can just get through that first ball and stay calm, another player, you know, I don't know what I'm even going to feel like down there. But she says, I don't feel nervous now. I just want to bowl good.
A little high and leaves the 3-6.
And she's fishing on lane 63. She had gone a little bit light a couple times. You can definitely see the dryness in a certain part of the lane, the conditioner to the left of where she's playing. What happened? She hit the dry a little bit too soon, going to hook left on you.
She picks them both up in the back of the ninth. Still 14 pins ahead now. Carolyn Doran steps up with her 2 final frames in the first match. She's working on 2 strikes.
Carolyn, another player, both in all the regionals when she's not on tour, has won 6 regional titles, along with her 2 national titles. She's superstition. She says, I sing while I bowl.
Sometimes we catch her with headphones on. Big smile there as she makes the crossover. That's 3 in a row. She gets the turkey in the ninth. The final frame coming up in the first match, and she's got a new attitude about her. 24-pin lead.
Turned around and threw that shot and said, thank God. It's I was talking about something about a re-rack going on down there. I think it was like, well, at least I threw it there. I didn't re-rack. I didn't take the time or whatever. She needs right now 9 pins to close out the match.
And she gets all she needs, leaving the 5, but that's all that is required for Carolyn Doran to advance here in the 10th. And so, as a result, Lori Ucho finishes in 5th place, higher than she was hoping at the start of the tournament. $2,000 in her pocket that might pay for her husband's plane trip. We'll be back with the second round, the second match of this championship round finals, when our coverage returns to South Bend, Indiana.
Panasonic presents a unique and highly evolved smooth operator. The Smooth Operator 2 with float control is the only razor to unite the comfort of twin independent floating heads with the closeness of a warm, wet shave. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. The Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you'd be.
320 Oak Lane, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Mail it to 2300 Playa, San Antonio, Texas.
There really is no place like home. And many Americans own theirs today in part because of Fannie Mae. We make sure mortgage lenders have money to lend for homes. And we provide a free guide to help you decide if you're ready to buy. Call 1-800-688-HOME, and Fannie Mae will put you on the path to home ownership.
Buy 3 packs of Polaroid Instant Film between now and December 31st, and we guarantee you a great holiday. And on top of that, we'll give you back $5. Look for a coupon and details in your Sunday paper.
Goodyear announces 25% off some of our most popular passenger, performance, and light truck radials. 25% off. But you gotta hurry. The sale ends December 3rd at participating Goodyear retailers. Hi, Boomer Esiason here to tell you about some very special work being done on behalf of the NFL and ESPN. It's called the Watch Program. We're reaching out into communities to help people see the value of setting aside Sunday nights for football. Players from around the league are getting out the word to people just like you. And you know what? The program's working. Won't you be a part of the Watch Program?
Welcome back to Chippewa Bowl. Our final score of the first matchup saw Carolyn Doran defeat Lori Ucho 225 to 212. For those of you watching the program last week, you saw on Wednesday the results of the Merit Mixed Doubles Tour. Here's the Merit Mixed Doubles Championship points results for the women.
That's right. In the top 24 qualify. 4 of our 5 finalists are in that top 24 right now. Tish Johnson's in 3rd. She'll get a few more points tonight. I don't think she'll catch Alita Still, though. Carolyn Doran, on the other hand, will probably go around Kim Couture and possibly Debbie McMullen and maybe even Marianne DeRupo. Sandra Jo Shirey sure to go around Wendy McPherson and a few others, and Carol Giannotti possibly could go around Tammy Turner. They're well into the top 24, though.
So points and money at stake as you take a look at the rest of the top 24 on the list. So our next match coming up, match number 2, Carolyn Dorn advances to meet a woman who's won this event twice in the past, Sandra Jo Shirey. Stay with us.
Control is everything. Once you got it, everything else just falls in place. That's why I use this stuff, Pert Plus.
One smart shampoo, control-enhancing conditioners for hair that's easy to handle.
It just works. My hair does what I want. That's enough for me.
Pert Plus.
Straight hair, no fuss.
Hello? Holiday Inn? I need a room.
A room with a place to work.
A room near the elevator.
At Holiday Inn, you'll always get a comfortable room with just what you need when you travel on business.
Hello, room service?
I can get airline miles with my room.
And with hotels in more than 1,200 towns and cities across the U.S., you'll get a room right where you need it, too.
I need a meeting room.
Wherever business takes you, your room is waiting at Holiday Inn.
Hello, Holiday Inn. I need a room away from everything.
I'm bored. Let's count the palm trees again. Why are you looking at me like that, Iggy? You okay? Cut it out. You're weirding me, man. Stop looking at me like that, would ya? You're creeping me out. Cut that out, man.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Iggy, you're gonna twist my head off. Iggy.
Welcome back to Chippewa Bowl. Sandra Jo Shirey sitting down. Carolyn Dorn starting off the second match on lane 63 and 4 here in South Bend, Indiana. Dorn advancing over Laura Ucho at 225 to 212.
And a lane breakdown here, as you can see, 64. She's thrown 4 strikes, 63, 3 strikes, roughly playing pretty even for Carolyn Dorn. She did finish up the 10th frame last time on lane 63.
She starts off with a big one. Okay, she says. She sits down, and now Sandra Jo coming back to a place that she's enjoyed so much success from before. The family from Bronson, Michigan have all driven in across the state lines to watch this woman.
Stands 5'10", one of the taller players on the ladies' tour. Will play very direct, right around the second arrow, just a little swing again. Went out to about the 8th board. Very tall woman, yet she takes 4 steps, and she is so close. There uses the first set of dots. Takes very small steps. Not a high backswing either. And she also ends up pretty far from the foul line. Very consistent, though. Has always had a very simple, basic game. Got the job done.
And she makes it 2 in a row.
Something she has been working on is consistency. She said this year's just been frustrating. It's either been an up and down year for me. I bowl really good for a few games, then I just run into trouble. So she's trying to work on staying more consistent, as Carolyn Dorn also has been. Her goal is to be consistent, make the top 24 week in and week out, and then work on making the telecast. Playing a little farther out to the right than Sandra Jo. She can get the ball to go a little straighter. Carolyn's using a shinier surface ball. You can see here a little straighter, not really much hook at all. Just right around the 8th, 9th board. 6th pin just slaps the 10th. If she moved out to the 6th board, she might have got that 10th out. She will switch balls to shoot the 10th.
Carolyn Dorn in her 5th year on the tour. We had a chance to speak with her earlier and asked if she feels happy with how her season is going so far.
Yes, I'm very, very happy with my performance this year. And it's made me change a few goals that I want to reset for next year.
She wouldn't elaborate there on camera, but afterwards she did go on to say, I used to just think making the tour and making the show, but now she wants to make some money and get some awards.
Well, that's right. As I mentioned in the opening, that All-American team and possibly Bowler of the Year. If she keeps throwing the ball like that last shot, she'll get there. She's very determined.
We talked about the family members of Sandra Jo Shirey driving in from Michigan. They're seated behind her as she's now working on 2 strikes. Wants to keep the perfect game going now in the 3rd.
Been on tour 6 years, has won in 5 of those years. It was 1992 that she went without a title.
Nora Lee coming across the border to see Sandra Jo do so well. In fact, the owners of the center, Diane and Mark Voigt, were talking about how they really felt they could pack the house because Sandra Jo Shirey, such a great household name. See John coming in to see his daughter bowl. Certainly there's a little cheering section or contention rooting for her.
Sandra Jo coming from a bowling family, a small center in Coldwater, Michigan. Grew up with the sport.
And at the last moment, the 7 falls to give 4 strikes in a row for Sandra Jo Shirey. Sandra's already bowled a 290 here at this event.
She's really getting the pin action here. Carries the light wall shot, 5-pin off the wall. Head pin hit the 4-pin. 4-pin ends up taking out the 7. She will give a little. This is some emotion we don't see Sandra Jo show too often. But when she feels comfortable on the lanes, I think we'll get a little bit more out of her.
Dorn makes it 2 in a row in the 4th.
And slaps out the 10 that time, in which she did not do previously on lane 64.
So that 2nd consecutive strike pulls her to within 20 pins of Sandra Jo Shirey. Here in the 2nd match of the stepladder finals at the South Bend Open.
See, she split with Sandra Jo Shirey in match play, 211 to 290 and 225 to 211. Currently 18th in average, averaging 207 this year on tour, and 8th in points, as we saw earlier in the merit point standings.
And she makes it a turkey now in the 5th.
A lot of emotion from Carolyn Dorn. That time she says, ooh, yes, because she saw the 8 and the 10 fall at the last minute, and she definitely wanted that. That closed the gap to only 10 pins. Forces Sandra Jo Shirey to keep striking.
We talked about how Sandra Jo has won this event twice. What we didn't mention was the fact that the first time she won it in 1989, she was just an amateur. She turned pro the following week. Oh, and the string stops at 4 as she only gets 9 pins in the 5th.
Sandra Jo using that 3-finger grip, inserts her index finger, something that I've often encouraged people to do that have weak wrist, or also are getting a little bit older and want to have a little more hand support in the ball.
And the straight shot finds the 10-pin and the spare in the 5th. We talked with Sandra Jo Shirey earlier and asked her why she seems to bowl well every time she comes to South Bend.
I don't know. I don't know if having my family come down here, if I try to put more pressure on myself so that I can make it, so they'll be able to come and watch and all that. I don't know if it is. It's good.
And speaking of the family.
Whatever works, Sandra Jo. Heck, fly him around the tour if it helps you. So Sandra Jo gets back into the striking mode in the 6th frame. And we'll be back with more of the 2nd match of the stepladder finals. Here is our coverage from Chippewa Bowl continues here in South Bend, Indiana.
Your own minor league baseball team, roughly $1 million. The Big Shaver, roughly 18 cents. What do they have in common? They're both worth every penny.
Some burger joints got a meal cost $2.99. Who cares if I'm not going to like eating it? But if you make it taste good, like a Whopper, throw in some fries and a drink, I'll gladly pay you $2.99. I'd even go as high as $3.02.
Burger King, get your burger's worth.
It still bugs me that I waited to try Old Spice High Endurance just because I thought all deodorants worked the same. Dumb. This proves it's the best. better than the leading stick. It evaporates less quickly, it also lasts longer, protects better. You can't ignore that, or this guarantee. Try it. If you don't think it's the best, call 1-800-PROVE-IT, and they'll buy you a stick of yours. You gotta figure anyone that serious about deodorant deserves a serious shot. Come on, take the high endurance challenge from Old Spice. I did.
Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern, knockout artists Jeremy Williams and Levi Billups go toe-to-toe. Top Rank Boxing on ESPN.
Managers of Chippewa Bowl, Ray Hess and his wife Diana, seated in our VIP gallery. Nice job, Ray, as everyone seems to be doing well and bowling well here at this tournament. Very high scoring in South Bend. Carolyn Doran working on 3 strikes and makes it 4.
Something our 4 right-handers have in common, John, is the fact that they all keep their shoulders very close to the target, all very straight to the foul line. And you will not see any open shoulders, anybody crossing the boards. That means the crossing the boards in the first 15 feet of the lane to the right. They're all staying very square and close. That last shot gave Carol the lead by 1 pin.
Leaves the 10.
Very close match, getting exciting. Both players have not missed the pocket.
Carolyn's a very enthusiastic bowler. She's always seen talking with everybody on the tour. Brings a lot of good high spirits to the competition here. Just recently took to wearing glasses as well.
I think that was at the beginning of the year.
A concession to vanity and a miss here in the 7th, and that will really shake things up a bit.
Switching balls but not getting the hook. Actually appears she got off balance as she saw her step over on the line and caused her to throw the ball to the right a little too early. If she would have stayed down at the line, she would not have had a problem picking that up. But when you get a little bit fast, it causes the ball to go to the right.
From a 1-pin lead to a 12-pin deficit, that miss cost Doran points as Sandra Jo Shirey takes that lead and amplifies it with a strike in the 7th.
Put her ahead to 22 pins.
I guess bowlers have to bring with them the history of their other successes, especially in the same floor, the same bowling center that they've enjoyed and done so well in the past. Sandra Jo seems very comfortable and at ease. And the pins tend to agree with her as well as they roll over nicely. That's 3 in a row now.
Well, there's certain characteristics in bowling centers, John, when you're talking about that tend to play out, whether the front part of the lane hooks and requires you to swing the ball through that part of the lane, or whether the lanes are conditioned so that you can actually point the ball up. And, you know, we've had different lane men here in each of those years that Sandra Jo has won, yet she's won them.
They dance around the 4.
And disappointed look from Kathy.
Both of these women in this 2nd round match have a 1st place and a 3rd place finish on the tour this year. That tie, if you call it a tie, will be broken here as the winner advances. Last title she won, the 1994 Ebonite Classic. I should say the Lady Ebonite Classic.
That's right. Don't forget that.
Very important on the ladies pro bowlers tour.
And one of Carolyn's immediate goals is just to be the best I can be right now. Eventually hopes to have a family. Her and Dell are currently
they're building a big house.
Building a big house. Big house. She was currently overlooking at the score sheet, wants to know where she stands. She's up now in the 9th frame. She can shoot a possible 237.
Well, she's back in the striking mode here in the 9th. Well, maybe 237 is still possible for her. It is. Let's see if she can do it. As Sandra Jo Shirey now coming on a string of 3 here in the 9th.
Right now, if Sandra Jo basically stays clean in the 9th and 10th frame, she'll win this match.
And that's a start.
And her father looking over. Right now, leads by 42 going in the 10th. Shooting 279 pace right here. Think about that 10 pin there, John, in the 5th frame. That goes, and we have a perfect game going. Right now, Carolyn Doran really doesn't stand a chance. Sandra Jo Shirey has locked her out.
Would have been nice to see her go off the sheet. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen here in the 10th.
No, she's going to shoot about 258 if she spares then strikes. Had she missed, she would have been in the 240 range. Carolyn Doran still could have only shot 237.
So Doran will walk out of here with $2,375, 4th place reward. Sandra Jo Shirey is going to just put the final nail in the coffin here.
Carolyn Doran's going to kick herself for missing the 10 pin.
And so it looks like Sandra Jo Shirey is returning. Carolyn Doran will sit out the rest of this tournament. Is coming up. We'll see the folks in the green.
Carpetown Furniture urges you to postpone any buying decisions until you hear the facts. Fact, Carpetown Furniture has the largest selection of furniture, mattresses, and carpet than any store in Buffalo, Rochester, or Erie. Nobody's bigger. Nobody. Fact, if you don't find it at Carpetown Furniture, you won't find it anywhere. Shop acres of quality home furnishings at rock-bottom prices. Only at Carpetown Furniture in Olean. Carpetown Furniture. It's big. You'll find it.
Here at Ask Design Jewelers, we've teamed up with one of the largest banks in the country to bring you Ask Design Instant Credit. The largest selection of fine jewelry in this area, from diamond rings and anniversary bands to colored gems and tennis bracelets, is available now on Ask Design Instant Credit. See how fast and easy Ask Design Instant Credit is. Come to Ask Design Jewelers in the Olean, Bradford, and Warren malls and apply today. The diamonds of your dreams are only minutes away at Ask Design Jewelers.
Be sure to follow the final stop on the fall swing as the Samstown Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour heads to Las Vegas for the $100,000 Samstown Invitational. I should mention Mike Durbin will be taking my place in the booth next week as he'll join Leila Wagner to bring you this most exciting stop on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. Tuesday, the 22nd of November, 11:30 p.m. Central Time, folks. Central Time. Here's the other top finishers in our contest. Debbie McMullen from Denver, Colorado finished in 6th place. Kim Couture lost to Lori Ucho in the position round. Vicki Steenson finished 8th.
And newcomer to the tour, Jody Monday finished in 9th. Kathy Zelke shot the other 300 this week in 10th. And Dana Miller-Mackey finished in 11th.
Robin Romeo, who lost her record last week as the single-season money earner, finished in 12th place. 13th went to Karen Schaefer from Baltimore. Cindy Coburn-Carroll from New York gets 14th spot.
And one of the favorites for Player of the Year, Alita Sill in 15th. Marianne DeRupo missed the telecast this week, but still had a good showing in 16th. And Kim Kennedy back in the finals at number 17.
In the 18th position, the woman who just missed her 4th title of the year last week, Anne-Marie Dugan. Followed by Jackie Sellers in 19th and Tammy Turner in 20th place.
And in 21st, it was the only amateur to make the top 24 this week, Jennifer Larson from Lincoln, Nebraska. In 22nd, Sandy First from Roseville, Michigan. And in 23rd, she won the Lynn Shoe Player of the Year back-to-back years in 90 and 91, Leanne Barrett.
The last qualifier, Dara Street. In match play, the alternate was Dee Dee Davidson, hailing now from Clearwater, Florida. Our next match coming right up, it features Sandra Jo Shirey advancing to meet Tish Johnson, number 3 on the points list, number 2 here at the tournament.
Getting bored with just plain nuts? Introducing new Fisher Favorites Tropical Fruit and Nut Mix, a more exciting flavor combination.
Pineapple, papaya, sweet cream almonds, honey roast peanuts, and
more cashews. Crunchy nuts with juicy real fruit. New Bishop Favorites tropical fruit and nut mix. The newest Bishop Favorite.
It's Bishop flavor, or it's just plain nuts.
Panasonic presents a unique and highly evolved smooth operator. The Smooth Operator 2 with float control is the only razor to unite the comfort of twin independent floating heads with the closeness of a warm, wet shave. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. The Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you'd be.
Hey, Follies fans, pull up a chair and sit down, because you don't want to miss Sports Illustrated's fabulous Follies Fun Pack. Featuring 2 amazing new videos. Basketball's NBA Rewind, plus the NFL's 100 Greatest Follies, both free with your paid subscription to SI. In NBA Rewind, Ahmad is always near.
Working here.
NBA stars will do this, and also that. In the NFL's 100 Greatest Follies, you get the funniest of all time. So hang on to your shirt, because this could hurt. Call now, and Jolly Ball is what you'll see. It comes in your fun pack free. Get 54 issues of SI for only $1.47 an issue. Save over 50% off the cover price. Use your credit card. SI in your free fun pack make great gifts. Shake a leg, call now, and get both fun pack videos free from SI. There is nothing in the world like Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
The field is so deep now in tennis, and there's so much to enjoy. You see 2 guys digging so deep inside themselves that they push you to a new level.
The IBM ATP Tour Championship tomorrow on ESPN.
We're back to Chippewa Bowl in South Bend, Indiana. John Neighbor and Leila Wagner. The official score of the second match was 258-203. Sandra Jo Shirey advances to meet Tish Johnson, and this is a rematch of the championship match in 1989 when Sandra Jo was just an amateur on her way to winning her first title.
That's right, and lane breakdown here. Sandra Jo Shirey has 5 strikes on 63, 4 on 64, but it really appears she favors neither one over the other.
Tish Johnson, on the basis of her qualifying, got to choose who went first, and as is her usual case, Tish elected to let her opponent start and finish the match.
That's right, it's something Tish usually does. She's going to take a re-rack now.
Coming up next, Sports Center. All those of you who are following the world of sports and want to stay on the cutting edge of sports information, well, stay with us. The Sports Center airs right after this program. And the only southpaw in the top 5 leaves the 7th pin to start in the first frame.
Tish Johnson's probably thinking right now, oh no, not again. Let's not go through this, as we saw her in Delaware consistently hit the pocket and not strike. Also, the last person she'd like to bowl right now in South Bend is Sandra Jo Shirey. No problem with the spare, but not only did she lose to Sandra Jo in the championship match in '89, but in '90 she lost to Sandra Jo as Sandra Jo marched up the ladder, beat Tish, then beat Dee Dee Davidson for the title.
So perhaps a little bad blood here in South Bend. Tish, the second qualifier, with a 230 and change. And is it going to get? Oh.
Just at the last minute, they had been tried to get there, didn't quite make it. We're going to get a chance to see that again. She was hoping to catch the messenger here. We're going to show it again after she picks up the 7 pin. Watch the head pin. It's going to go off the sideboard. Here it comes. Fell off right before it hit the 7. What a bad break.
Very close, no cigar. 2 spares in a row for Johnson. Sandra Jo in the second, working on a strike. In fact, when during the final block of match play, Tish Johnson lost to all the other 4 finalists except for Sandra Jo Shirey.
Average to make the telecast this week was 223. Average to cash, pretty high, 205. It took plus 200 to make the top 20. 24, which comes out to a 205 average. Average to make match play. Oh, 211, excuse me. Average to cash was 205. Average to make match play 211. Pretty high scores this week. And Tish looked over to our tournament director, Rick Hudson, said this is a replay of a few weeks ago, meaning Delaware.
Sandra Joe with 3 in a row puts the pressure on Tish.
And as you mentioned just a few minutes ago, there's the score that she defeated Sandra Joe in match play. Oh, no. Solid 9-pin. We're going to see Tish. I knew it'd be laughing now. Now, she's not the top seed, so there's not quite as much pressure. She's not going to quite, you know, she's going to play with the crowd a little bit more. Watch this shot. Oh, my. 5-pin shoots straight back, equivalent to the solid 8 for a right-hander. Usually the 5-pin takes the 9-pin out here. Shot straight back. Oh, my. And as I mentioned, it's been a frustrating year. She says, you know, I have been bowling so well this year, but as well as the year that I was bowler of the year, but I have not been receiving the rewards.
As you can see, strikes for Sandra Joe, spares for Tish. 22-pin deficit. She's still trying to make it up.
Currently 3rd in points, 8th in average, as she's averaged 209 in 94.
Well, this one's going to be real tough.
The 3-7. She's going to try to hit right of the 3, throw it into the 7. You know, when you don't carry, then you start trying to make little changes, subtle changes to try to get the pins out. And that's exactly what's happening now with Tish.
Valiant attempt, unsuccessful though it may have been. Sandra Joe.
Working on 3 strikes. Her boyfriend, Curtis Odom, also a member of the PBA, is on hand here to add support to Sandra Joe. He's been here for the past few days.
And they danced all around the 4. Stops her string at 3. Sandra Joe throwing 9 strikes in the last match. See her earnings this year, over $33,000.
Had a great amateur background. Not only did she win a LPBT event, but she was a member of Team USA in both 86 and 87. She was a gold medalist in the FIQ and team in all events in 87. She did it the right way. Got a lot of experience in the amateur field first. And when she came out here, she's just, you know, she's the silent type. She's always there, wins silently, not a lot of showmanship around, exactly.
She's very subdued. 5 LPBT titles in her career. Hoping for a 6th one here, as 2 of those 5 did come out of South Bend.
If she wins here, she will probably move and join the league.
For good reason.
Or she should. What do you think? Set some WIBC records. She is in the Michigan Hall of Fame. And also the Coldwater Hall of Fame.
She leaves the 10-pin in the 5th.
Now Tish could probably kick herself, saying, you know, if I would have just maybe taken a little bit more time and you know, eventually they're going to fall because that open frame's really put her down.
Tish working with some fake skin, a little pad that she has glued onto her finger there.
A lot of players use new skin, clear skin, different names for it, to patch up their hands as they rip open. A lot of games. Players play 42 games roughly to get to this point, probably about 70 when you think of practice session and pro-ams. I gave 299. I said, Tish, what'd you leave? She said a 6-pin.
Well, she left nothing there in the 5th frame.
And a clap. And now she's getting a little bit of an angry look. No, I take that back. She did not leave a 6-pin. She left a 4-pin. And we said, wait a minute, don't right-handers leave that when you come a little high. That's the wrong side for you to leave a 4-pin. She says, I know, I went right of the head pin. Someone was talking when I was bowling. So that's when she left the 299.
Well, let's not feel too sad for Tish Johnson. She's scored 33 perfect 300 games in her career. And as they rotate around, the 10 falls. That's 2 strikes in a row for Tish Johnson, making it somewhat a closer match now as she pulls within 23. When we return, Sandra Jo Shirey and Tish Johnson continue the battle.
Lately, Mike and I have been driving around, you know, trying to find the perfect house. It's going to have a fenced-in yard and a little garden. And inside, we want lots of windows, hardwood floors, and a big brick fireplace. And just know we're going to find it. I know it.
At Fannie Mae, we're the nation's largest source of funds for mortgage lenders. Call us for a free guide to get you started on the path to home ownership.
Are you a jock? Do you like to rock? ESPN presents Jock Rock, the greatest crowd rockin' sports anthems of all time on one CD. You can't get any closer to the action without getting hurt. It's not for fans, it's for fanatics. Jock Rock at record stores everywhere.
John Neighbor, Leala Wagner. We're back now as Sandra Jo Shirey bowling in the 6th, working on a spare. And she leaves the 4-7.
Well, getting a big break there, she almost left the Greek church, which is the big 4, plus an extra pin in there. Can either be the right side or the left side. I asked Sandra Jo, she said, you know, high-scoring tournaments seem recently to be your forte. And she said, you know, it was not that way in the past, but now they do seem to be. She says, I concentrate harder on making good shots because I know I've got to strike in order to stay up with the rest of the field.
She picks up the spare in the 6th.
And Tish Johnson looking at the scoreboard saying, hey, do I even have a chance? And she does. She can shoot 245 if she goes off the sheet. Sandra Jo Shirey would have to throw another turkey somewhere in this game. 21st career television appearance. She's averaged 213, 15 and 15. That's a pretty good record.
Yeah, but starting in the number 3 spot, Sandra Jo's only won once. Here's almost leaving the bucket. Leaves the 248.
Making adjustment off coming up high on 64. She goes light now on 63.
So her lead whittled away now to 18 pins.
I'd venture to say here this would not be an easy spare because she has to point it up and over the oil in or the lane conditioner in the center of the lane. But she gets the back pin.
Rick Hudson taking a look at the lane 64. Tish asking for a re-rack.
And he has to take a look because it was her 3rd re-rack. It was difficult to see exactly what was off. Earlier it was the 4-pin that was sitting off while the players were practicing.
Said it was the 5
and
there.
Rick is saying it was the 5. It was a little bit to the left.
Tish Johnson working on a double now in the 7th. John Neighbor and Leala Wagner as we are in Chippewa Bowl, South Bend, Indiana for the $50,000 South Bend Open. Tish Johnson, our 2nd qualifier, fell behind early in the match, but seems to be rallying now in the 7th frame with her turkey.
The 1992 Lin Shu Player of the Year, and also the 1992 Bowling Writers Association Player of the Year. Averaged 245 on this pair. You can see the shot this week was good for both left-handers and right-handers. She just took the lead by 2 pins.
4 in a row for Tish Johnson. Sandra Jo spared the last 4 frames. With her 7th spare in the 7th, she fell behind. And Tish has just kept piling on the pressure. X marks the spot for Sandra Jo.
And she answers the call. Again, right over the 2nd arrow, out to about the 8 board, baby swing, 2 board swing, no problem taking out the 10 pin. A look at the scoreboard, Sandra Jo Shirey still trails by 2 pins. She strikes here. She takes the lead again by 8. This is a great match. Tish is looking at her rack going again, saying, do I need a re-rack? No, I'll shoot it.
And she does get the 10. The crowd explodes with relief on that one. 2 in a row for Sandra Jo.
Wasn't sure that 10 was going to fall. She hit inside a target right around the 12th board. Watch the 6-pin just sit in the channel because the ball wasn't able to finish hard enough in the back end. It never hit the dry area of the lane, but the 6-pin says, okay, I'll take out the 10. Big break there for Sandra Jo. Right now.
Looks like she gave up on it. Yes, though. What a gift.
Well, Tish Johnson can step up here now in the 9th frame, and then in the 10th get 2 strikes in 9 to win. Oh, she's got 3 balls down there. She picked up the wrong ball. That's got to loosen her up a little bit. And this is the rack she earlier was complaining about. Again, the 5-pin was supposedly being a little bit off to the left, but doesn't really appear to be now, or she wouldn't shoot it. Apparently she did ask for a re-rack. Rick Hudson denied it.
379 left over, and it's going to be hard to pick this one up.
It did not appear that Tish Johnson even hit that ball. She just let it float off her hand, did not get the fingers and the lift in it to get it up to the head pin. Something we don't see her do too often. She knew she had a chance to win this.
Well, it was a remarkable comeback after she basically didn't get a strike until the 5th frame of this game. She strikes early in the 10th.
I'm not sure she picked up the right ball on 64. So I saw one roll back, and she picked up another one here on 63.
Did you have a similar look to him?
It can get very confusing. The pin placements now, you get 3 balls that look identical. You've got to watch closely what ball you pick up. You can see there, she's giving them. Said, hey, okay, 7-pin, just stand up. Should have started falling earlier in the match, and I wouldn't have had this problem. She's spare right here. She shoots 200 even.
So 200 is the score to beat as Sandra Jo is getting up now for her final frame. She has 2 strikes.
Sandra Jo just needs 6 pins in the 10th frame here to go on to meet Carol Giannotti.
And she gets more than enough to guarantee her advance to the championship match. Can it happen for a 3rd time for Sandra Jo? We'll find out shortly. But clearly, she was in control of this one at the beginning and the end of the match. I guess being in control at the end is the most important place to control a match.
Well, 2 open frames, both basically the same problem from Tish. Ball not making it up to the head pin. 2 terrible splits.
So Tish Johnson finishes in the bronze medal position, $2,800 and change, defeated once again by Sandra Jo Shirey here in South Bend.
And she'll be on her way to Las Vegas very quickly.
Since this match is already on ice, do you think Sandra Jo might want to practice something on this last toss?
I think she's pretty well lined up. She may, play with it a little bit, but I think she's lined up.
And so with that victory, 232 to 200, Sandra Jo Shirey advances to the championship match. Coming up, though, championship frame here in South Bend, Indiana.
I'm bored. Let's count the palm trees again. Why are you looking at me like that, Iggy? You okay? Cut it out. You're weirding me, man. Stop looking at me like that, would ya? You're creeping me out. Cut that out, man.
For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Iggy, you're gonna twist my head off. Iggy.
You're an American. You've got the right to play bingo, the right to monster truck rallies, and the right to big, juicy burgers. So what happened? Someone slaps a low price on a fried little burger and calls it a deal? That's un-American. You have the right to go to Burger King. The right to get a Whopper, flame broiled, not fried. And the right to get that Whopper any size you want, with fries and a drink. Starting at just $1.99. It's all there in the Constitution. Look it up.
Burger King. Get your burger's worth.
Hey, Follies fans, pull up a chair and sit down, because you don't want to miss Sports Illustrated's fabulous Follies Fun Pack, featuring 2 amazing new videos, basketball's NBA Rewind, plus the NFL's 100 Greatest Follies, both free with your paid subscription to SI. In NBA Rewind, Ahmad is always near.
I'm working here.
NBA stars will do this, and also that. In the NFL's 100 Greatest Follies, you get the funniest of all time. So hang on to your shirt, because this could hurt. Call now, and Jolly Ball is what you'll see. It comes in your fun pack, free. Get 54 issues of SI for only $1.47 an issue. Save over 50% off the cover price. Use your credit card. SI in your free fun pack make great gifts. Check a leg. Call now and get both fun pack videos free from SI. There is nothing in the world like Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
Welcome back to Chippewa Bowl. It's time now for Championship Frame. First match between Carolyn Doran and Laura Ucho. Doran in the 9th.
That's right. Carolyn Doran is working on a double. This strike right here, she throws it beautifully right again and around the 8th board. 5-pin hits the 7 head pin off the wall. It gave her a 24-pin lead. She only needed 9 in the 10th to close the door on Laura Ucho.
As you see, Ucho did strike out in the 10th, but it was not enough. 225-212, the final score of the first match. Doran advances to meet Sandra Jo Shirey.
Now Sandra Jo Shirey up in the 9th frame. She's working at a 279 pace. She's already struck 7 of her 8 times. This strike here rips the rack. Gave her a 42-pin lead, and it was too much for Carolyn Doran to catch up.
Big high-scoring game there. Sandra Jo gets 258 pins, 203 for Doran, so Shirey advanced to meet Tish Johnson.
After making a great comeback, Tish Johnson now up in the 9th frame needs 3 strikes and 9 pins to shut out Sandra Jo Shirey. Gets a little quick to the line. The ball floats off her hand. She leaves the 3-7-9. Very disappointed, Tish Johnson.
And so with her defeat, Sandra Jo Shirey advances 232-200. And Shirey, with 2 titles here in South Bend, is looking for her 3rd. When she comes back, she'll take on our top qualifier, Carol Giannotti, who herself is in a winning mode.
Buy 3 packs of Polaroid Instant Film between now and December 31st, and we guarantee you a great holiday. And on top of that, we'll give you back $5. Look for a coupon and details in your Sunday paper.
Stay with the flock.
Stay with the flock.
Stay with the flock.
Hey, who's that?
Don't be a sheep. Dare to compare Panasonic sound to the other guys.
Here's a chip that's got more ridginess. New Pringles Ridges, it's more crunchy. If crunch is what you can't resist, our Pringles Ridge is more crunch than this. Crunch! The golden tasty crunch is this, not this bag chips greasy mess. Crunch, crunch. Our new Pringles Ridges, it's more crunchy. More crunchy. Once you pop Ridges, you can't stop.
Hello? Holiday Inn? I need a room.
A room with a place to work.
A room near the elevator.
At Holiday Inn, you'll always get a comfortable room with just what you need when you travel on business. Hello, room service?
I can get airline miles with my room.
And with hotels in more than 1,200 towns and cities across the U.S., you'll get a room right where you need it, too.
I need a meeting room.
Wherever business takes you, your room is waiting at Holiday Inn.
Hello, Holiday Inn. I need a room away from everything.
Debbie, these shots are fabulous. Beautiful, Debbie.
Better than the last time, Tony?
Absolutely. It's my job to make sure people look good. A few weeks ago, while doing test shots with Debbie, I noticed something. Dandruff. So I told her about Head & Shoulders. You see, regular shampoos merely rinse flakes away, so they could come back. But look, Head & Shoulders help stop flakes from even forming. See the difference?
Yeah, picture perfect. Head and Shoulders turns dandruff problems into beautiful hair.
Welcome back, John Neighbor, Leila Wagner. As we watch now the championship match, Carol Giannotti electing to start off. That's unusual. We haven't seen that this tournament.
No, she'll have the pressure on her if it comes down to that, but she definitely likes 64 better.
Bang! Way to start it off on 63.
Carol Giannotti is going to be playing a little bit more of a swing than the other player, Sandra Jo Shirey or Laura Yucho that we saw earlier, or Carolyn Dorn. We talked about last night, Carol Giannotti, I said, where's a little bit of a tweener? She says, not quite as straight as them, but not a real hooker either.
And the punch receives a counter punch as both bowlers strike in the first. Sandra Jo Shirey, 3-2 in match play against the other 4 finalists. 14-10 match play record. Victorious once in San Diego. That occurred in April of this year.
Very first event of the spring tour. Tour started out in San Diego, moved on up to Santa Maria, and then around. Sandra Jo having no problem with the break, able to march right back in, start out with the double. Both of these players very good friends, roommates, travel together. And you can see her home, Perth, Australia.
And remember, Giannotti was the champion at last week's event on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour and came into this event very relaxed and enjoying herself immensely. Seems like she's still doing that.
Taking a look at Carol Giannotti's game, a player uses all the approach, 5 steps, will push the ball out on the second step, has a pretty large push away, high backswing, small power step right there. You can see as she gets into her slide, she stays down. Great follow through, great wrist motion. Carol Giannotti is using a ball that hooks a little bit more. I was just told she sent a lot of her equipment on to Las Vegas. That tournament starts within 2 days. It's a long haul down there, and she said, I don't have anything that doesn't hook. The lanes are a little drier than they had been. She didn't expect them to be that way. This is a ball she was using in practice. It got caught in a ball return on lane 62. Marked it up a little bit, but apparently she is not using this ball. It would not affect her choice if it was not in her trap, whether she used the ball or not. Probably different weights than 2 green balls that are sitting there.
Carol Giannotti went to the 15-pound ball this month due to the surgery she had on her arm earlier in the season. Sandra Jo gets her 3rd in a row. We've got 6 strikes out of 6 balls thrown here in this championship match. Great contest going on. 6th year on the tour for Sandra Jo, 29 years of age, out of Bronson, Michigan. And the 7 doesn't fall.
And a very solid year for Sandra Jo, as she's talked about it being an up and down year, though she is 11th in points, very solid, 15th in earnings with over $33,000, and 10th in average. She's averaged 209 for all the games across the country. So what seems to be an up and down year for her may be a very good year for someone else.
Sandra Jo gets the spare in the 4th. She says her goal is to win a major as soon as possible. Giannotti back now 3 in a row so far. Defeated Sandra Jo in match play. And most interesting to me is Giannotti's overall average on the TV pair. Oh, if she leaves the 10, I should note that's 266.67 pins, her overall average on the TV pair. I showed that statistic to her before the start of the match, and her eyes opened really wide. She had no idea she'd done so well here.
And that was for 3 games. She actually was in the shadows of Laura Yucho last night as she shot 400 over herself, averaged 250. Ooh. Oh,
I thought it was going to fall, yeah.
Averaged 251 for her last 8 games of match play, but there was so much emphasis on Laura Yucho averaging 258 that nobody really noticed Carol over here bowling great, too.
Well, they're bowling exactly the same through the 4th frame. Giannotti with 7 Pro Bowlers Tour titles, the 7th one coming just last week.
in a very close final, 224 to 223. It looks like this one's going to be equally as close. She slaps out the 10 at the last minute. Feels very much at ease, feels very relaxed. Again, if she stays calm, doesn't get too fast, she won't throw any bad shots. And coming up a little high, trips the 4-7. No problem, though. They all go. And there's a look at Dale Houston, a certified massage therapist who is on hand this week. Also worked many times on Carol Giannotti. It's always nice to have our chiropractors and massage therapists to help ease some of the sore muscles.
One of the greatest enlightening pieces of information I've gleaned on the tour is the remarkably large number of games these women bowl on a regular basis. And of course, that's got to have some impact, all the weight on one side of the body and the effect on the spine, and having somebody here to look after them, an important consideration.
That's right. So many times one side of your body overdevelops the other side, and then that actually makes you very prone to injuries. The key is to try to equalize that out, work on weights at home to try to strengthen possibly the left side of your body for right-handed players.
Well, the door's somewhat open now with the spare in the 6th as Giannotti steps up over on 64.
Carol Giannotti currently 10th in earnings with a little over 41,000. She was the runner-up to Player of the Year in 1992. She had won 4 titles that year, but she fell to Tish Johnson, who was named Player of the Year.
And so the dead tie is broken here in the 6th. We had a chance to ask Carol about how last week's victory might affect her performance here in South Bend.
I felt pretty relaxed, actually. I come out the first day of qualifying and my arm was loose and everything. I mean, just coming back from everything, winning last week, I mean, you know, I didn't expect anything this week, but I was just so relaxed and my arm swing was loose, so I bowled really well.
Loose is a good way to describe how that 10-pin just sort of slumped over in the 7th frame.
And she trips the 4 and the 10. Watch this, goes a little off balance. You can see the ball breaking really high. Head pin off the wall, takes out the 4-pin the last minute, and the 6-pin took out the 10.
Well, that compares highly to the gift she got last week when Anne-Marie Dugan needed a 9 to tie or a strike to...
Speaking of gifts, Sandra Jo Shirey got one of her own as she just tripped out the 8-10 simultaneously. Those were beautiful. I'd like to see that fall again.
Synchronized bowling.
That's right, 8 and 10. They felt exactly the same way.
Take a look at the scoreboard once again. The only difference in the 6th frame, the strike and spare, is the margin, and it's worth 20 pins to Giannotti. But Sandra Jo comes right back. 2 in a row here in the 8th. Carol steps up. She's got 3 strikes in a row.
Carol wanted me to mention her fiance, Neil Block, who was out in California at the time. I want to say hi. She misses you.
Scheduled for marriage in 1996 at a time when she will relocate back to Australia.
Because I want to bowl a couple more years. Samstown's been a great sponsor. They're due to be out here for a couple more years. I want to give it all I've got, and then we'll end up back in Australia for a little bit. Maybe have a family.
Carol, number 10 on the money list this year, putting aside a little nest egg, a little hope chest for that marriage a few years away. Seemed like she was a little off balance. And the 6 did not cooperate with the 10 there.
Came up a little short. She mentioned a little off balance, but that's because she's trying to throw the ball very hard. Right now, the 6-pin does not take out the 10. When you try to change the ball speed, it may throw your timing off a little bit. She's trying to pick up ball speed through her footwork.
And she went off into the channel a little early, leaving the 9th frame open and possibly opening the door as well.
Exactly. We saw Carolyn Dorn give it to Sandra Jo Shirey that way. Now, Carol Giannotti in the 9th frame did the same thing. Get a little quick. Ball never gets to the leverage point. And Sandra Jo says, hey, if you're going to open the door for me, I'm going to try to walk through it. She can shoot a possible 259. That would be more than enough for Carol Giannotti, who can only go off the sheet for 246. Big lead change right there in the 9th frame. Wow. I almost gave this title to Carol Giannotti. She's looking over. She's going to kick herself right now, as did Tish with a critical error, and also Carolyn Doran. The caliber of players is out here is such that you cannot open the door for another player, especially on a condition like this.
Well, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And who knows, a strike at 9 here could lock out Giannotti. The strike has occurred.
Sandra Jo just giving it everything she has. She just really got a lot on that ball. Watch her hand rotation here. Just really rips through it. Very aggressive shot. 5-pin goes flying. No problem with getting 10 out there.
So with 9 pins, it'll be all over right here.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. And Carol Giannotti is looking over the scoreboard. There is no way she's going to have to be able to believe it. Right now, if she spares, she shoots 247. Carol Giannotti can only shoot 246. If she takes 1 pin off of this, we could have a possible tie. She got a big break by carrying out 2 of those pins off the bucket. Needs them both.
And got some. So touchdown Jesus on the campus of Notre Dame might be looking in this direction as Sandra Jo Shirey becomes the winner here in South Bend. Her 3rd title as she is exhausted sitting down. And there's something missing on that shot, wasn't there? Just enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah. Carol Giannotti just got up through the ball. Let me get out of here now.
Still $4,500, a nice paycheck to set aside for a rainy day. Oh, and leaves another open here in the 10th, and so her final score, 225, nowhere near the pins necessary. Sandra Jo Shirey is our winner here. We'll have our presentation when our coverage returns to the $50,000 South Bend Open with the Chippewa Bowl in Indiana. Stay with us.
Hey, Follies fans, pull up a chair and sit down, because you don't want to miss Sports Illustrated's fabulous Follies Fun Pack, featuring 2 amazing new videos, basketball's NBA Rewind, plus the NFL's 100 Greatest Follies, both free with your paid subscription to SI. In NBA Rewind, Ahmad is always near.
Working here.
NBA stars will do this, and also that. In the NFL's 100 Greatest Follies, you get the funniest of all time. So hang on to your shirt, because this could hurt. Call now, and Jolly Ball is what you'll see. It comes in your fun pack free. Get 54 issues of SI for only $1.47 an issue. Save over 50% off the cover price. Use your credit card. SI in your free fun pack make great gifts. Check a leg. Call now and get both fun pack videos free from SI. There is nothing in the world like Sports Illustrated. Get into it.
Make your money work harder than ever. Call now for your free Wall Street Journal guide to understanding money and investing. It focuses on financial markets so you can make informed choices. Call now to get your guide free when you subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, where you'll find information you need to get ahead. Get 10 weeks of the Journal for just $36 and the guide to understanding money and investing free with your paid subscription. Call toll-free 800-331-9600. That's 800-331-9600.
The championship round finals of the South Bend Open have been brought to you by Pringles. So fresh, once you pop, you can't stop. And so $9,000 goes to the winner here. The final score of the championship match, 247 to 225. And Diane Voigt, if you'd make the presentation, please.
It's my pleasure. On behalf of all of us here at Chippewa Bowl, congratulations, and here's a symbolic part, your trophy.
Thank you, Diane. I want to thank Mark and everybody here at the center. It's been a great week again. Thanks.
We're certainly happy to have Mark come over and make the presentation of the paper goods.
Sandra, it's our pleasure to present you the actual funds that you've been bowling for. This is the third time. I remember the very first time you were so nervous we thought that your heart was going to pound right out of your chest at the time, and you were nervous at the end this time, but not quite as nervous all the time. It's wonderful, and we're delighted. It's almost like you own this place. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Once again, it's just been a great week, and Mark and Diane are really great to all of us, and we appreciate all they do. Thanks.
Sandra Jo Shirey will be back to have a few more words with the three-time winner here in South Bend, Indiana. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Where will you save on beautiful furniture? I'm talking about unique furniture styles by famous names like Lexington, Hardin, Century, Stanley, and Heckman. The answer is Nanette's Home Furnishings in Olean. Today you'll get the guaranteed lowest price within 150 miles on wonderful bedrooms, living rooms, dining rooms, or anything else you need. At Nanette's Home Furnishings, you'll get a real value for your dollar. Beautiful area rugs, wall-to-wall carpeting, window treatments, lamps, mirrors, all at the guaranteed best price in writing. And they'll even bring the store to you. Jamestown, Ellicottville, Bradford, or Warren. There are local representatives for wherever you live. For your free estimate, call 1-800-210-9401. It's toll-free. That's 1-800-210-9401. Or better yet, visit their showroom on West State Street in Olean. For the inside price on the finest home furnishings, see Nanette's. Do it today.
Feuds never die. They just get uglier when colleges collide. ESPN2 presents great college rivalries, unadulterated inter-academic aggression dedicated to the most wicked grudge matches in college sports. Yale and Harvard, the originators of intercollegiate competition, face each other for the 111th time, Saturday at 1 p.m. Great college rivalries. Forgive, but never forget. Only on ESPN2.
Here she is once again, Sandra Jo Shirey in the 9th frame as she scores the necessary strike that virtually guaranteed her the victory here in South Bend, Indiana. And so the final score, 247-225, a great victory over Carol Giannotti, who was a fine adversary. But I've got to ask you, Sandra Jo, as you finally realized you had won at Chippewa for the 3rd time, what was going through your mind?
I just couldn't believe it. I just started shaking. But it's just, I just can't believe that I could win here 3 times.
Being in South Bend's pretty close to your family, too.
Yeah, I'm only about an hour and 15 minutes away, and they're all down here.
Mm-hmm. Sandra Jo, I just have to ask you, you know, you're down by 20 pins virtually late in the championship match. Carol Giannotti has not missed the pocket. How do you keep your momentum?
I just tell myself to keep making good shots and try to strike, because that's all you can do, you know. If I strike and she beats me, then she bowled better, so.
Did you ever think that maybe she would just get up and miss something?
Anybody can, because we're all human, so it can happen, and luckily for me and unfortunate for Carol, it did.
I know you all are roommates, and she gave you a nice hug when it was all over. Very special for her to do that.
Yes, it is. We're very close, and I know she would have rather lose to me than anybody.
It looked like you were copying each other for the first 6 frames. She struck, you struck, she spared, you spared. Finally, you blinked first.
Yeah, I just, my knees have been shaking throughout the whole matches, and it must have just shook a little too much and didn't make a very good shot.
Do you have the current league and tournament schedule here for Chippewa Bowl?
I think Mark's going to make copies and send them to me.
I think he should.
Certainly South Bend has been good to you, and you've been good to South Bend, Indiana. 3-time winner, Sandra Jo Shirey, deserving of your congratulations.
I know your father said something to you prior to getting up. Explain that one to me.
Just before I bowled my first match, my dad said, make sure and flex your knees so you stay loose.
And that's exactly what it was for, flex your knees to stay loose?
Most of the time, yeah, so I'll stay down better. And
is this the first time your parents have seen you win?
No. They've been here each time I've won here, and my mom and my sister flew out to Baltimore when I won that one.
Well, it's nice to have family around you on a special occasion. Congratulations once again. For my partner, Leila Wagner, I'm John Neighbors saying thanks so much for joining us on the Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. A special thanks to Lisa Cirincione and Dick Dorner, our graphics and audio technicians back in the truck. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget the final stop on the Samstown Ladies Pro Bowlers Tour. It's the $100,000 Samstown Invitational. That's next week, Tuesday, November 22nd at 11:30 p.m. Central Time. Still to come, the Sports Center right here on ESPN, where all the news that's fit to talk about in the world of sports coming your way next.